Today we're going to do something that you're going to come across a lot. We're going to do a Celtic Cross for a question, what are they thinking and are they coming back? So if you've been practicing for any length of time, this is going to be absolutely one of your top 5 questions, at least it has been for me. So not so much perhaps for your in-person readings, but if you work for hotlines, websites, anything like that, where you have those rapid fire questions, a lot of remote, quick types of things, that's really where you're going to get this. And for those instances, Celtic Cross is kind of lengthy, but what the heck, let's just go for it, because one day you might have a need for this. So when I do Celtic Cross, anything that's a little bit, we need a specific answer, I like to do, I write it down first. I'm just trying to put that in frame there. Okay, so I print off these sheets and I keep them on hand, and then what I do is I put down for all my card positions what I want to know out of each one. As long as you stay within the not the confines, but kind of the borders of the Celtic Cross, then you're fine, right? It's an awesome spread. I was about to say perfect, but that's just not true. But as far as spreads go, like, it's a top 3, absolutely. It'll tell you what you need to know. It's ancient, right? It's just got a lot of history and gravitas behind it. So that's one of the reasons why Celtic Cross is a go-to. And it does take a little bit of time to learn, but it's worth learning. But anyway, I'm gonna put this up on screen later so you don't have to read my terrible handwriting. But what I do is I just put down the question at the top of the sheet, and you can do this for any of your readings where you're by yourself and you have time and whatnot to think about it. But you write down everything you want to know, and then as you're shuffling, it's there. It's kind of being programmed into the deck. So for this question, we're gonna do, it's a fictional situation. I don't actually have this isn't a real person situation right now. It's just, what are they thinking? Are they gonna come back? And then we're gonna go through some of the card positions and how you can kind of tell how the cards interact with each other. So I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle, and then we'll cast, and then I will take it over to the screen and we'll look at it together. Okay, so that's our spread. Okay, so this fictional one, clearly, it's not based on real life, but what are they thinking? Are they coming back? You know what? First impressions, you don't want them to come back. So let's get into it. I'm gonna go put this up on the screen and then we'll go through the analysis. So now we have our spread on screen with the assigned card positions on the left. The descriptions of the card positions have been customized a bit, but the important thing to remember is that they still have the essential qualities of the Celtic Cross. We're only tweaking the positions a tiny bit to get the most specific answer, but we're staying true to the spread as it was intended. This is a fictional case, but one that represents a client that you're sure to have at some point in your practice. They're distraught and emotionally vulnerable, so while we're providing the reading, it's important to be gentle because this is a person to whom this issue is of vast importance. To begin, we can look at cards 1, 2, and 4. The star reverse can speak to a lack of hope, sadness, disillusionment, all the sorts of mental self-harm. When we tell ourselves that we don't deserve this or that, we aren't good enough to be loved, and so on, those messages embed themselves in us, and they're really hard to extract. Currently, this person is feeling very upset and blaming themselves for what's going on to some extent. The Seven of Swords can often come up as a card for those who are trying not to get caught, perhaps people who are being unfaithful or just deceiving others. And you can't always jump to cheating as the meaning of this card, but here is one case where that meaning is relevant. But how do we know? We need to look at the cards around it, around that 7, to see if it's being supported. So check out cards 3, 4, 5, and even 6. Card position 3, the Four of Pentacles reversed here, represents the unknown element. And this card can mean stepping outside of a relationship. So there's clue number 2. This card sitting in the hidden spot means that the querent, the person in front of you, might have suspected it was cheating but wasn't 100% sure. Card 4, Judgment, for the event that set this all off. Some kind of wake up call for what I suspect is the subject, not the querent, as this entire spread is set up to show us what they're thinking. So the querent asked tarot to show us what the subject is thinking about. So that's what we're seeing more of. Up at card position 5, we have the current thinking of the subject, represented in the Four of Cups. The body language in the card alone speaks clearly on this. The subject is bored and, frankly, just over the initial attraction and connection they had with the querent. I would definitely phrase that differently if the querent is sitting with you, as nobody ever wants to hear that their recent lover was bored of them. To say that would just be unnecessarily hurtful. So no one can describe, like, you can just describe the figure in the card as appearing perhaps shut down or closed off from the feelings they previously had around the relationship. All that to say, every verification card on the table is confirming some wandering behavior from the subject. And that helps seal the Seven of Swords as showing us a cheater, or at least someone who's emotionally cheating and is now trying to get away from the relationship. So we can answer the question, what are they thinking, with the answer about themselves and their happiness only. Card position 6 is usually near the future, like the near future card, and that shows us what might happen pretty soon. To get something more useful from that, I adjust it to be more about like what can be done, like what can the querent do right now. So the advice coming through is with the Knight of Swords reversed, and that is just cut your losses and get out. The subject uses emotional manipulation to hold the querent in a state of dependence, and very much like that gaslighting kind of thing where the querent doubts their instincts, blames themselves. Anyway, the advice here is that they need to save themselves, even if it makes them angry and frustrated about how much energy they put into this relationship. Those painful feelings will pass and they're just better than the alternative, which is to stay in what appears to be almost like an abusive relationship, or at least trending that way. So now we know what the subject is thinking. And hopefully, the querent at this point has come to recognize that the second part of their question is no longer relevant. But if the querent is verifying the previous cards and still wishes to know if the subject will return to them, we can proceed as the cards have more to say. Based on card position 7, where we have the lover showing up to describe how the querent views things, they really did think this was the real deal and the right choice to hang on to the subject. This card blends with 3 and 9, so we see that they have a deep fear of losing what they poured so much into. In card position 8, the swords have the opinions of others around them, trying to talk some sense into them, but it's only creating more doubt and stress. The subject's innermost emotions are expressed in the Ten of Swords, showing us an absolute, self absorbed ego that believes the world revolves around them. So, will they come back? They may. They may try. Should the querent accept that? Not a chance. You know what? They're given the behavior, and if all of that's only if this is all true, right? Like you have to get the verification done first. If the querent says everything you said is correct, I was suspecting they were cheating. It looks like they are. Da da da. That person is not likely to return because that's just not the type of person they are. They're kind of like they need that fresh feeling all the time. They're not going to get that by coming back to something. But it's not all bad news because our outcome card is the Ace of Cups. So finally we have kind of like a break here. We got all those heavy swords and we got that sneaking around energy, and now we got the Ace of Cups, and it's like, whew. So it's showing the querent that they will be way better off down the road. Something much better is waiting for them after all this pain, after all the anxiety around the ending of a relationship, especially under these circumstances. It's just going to be way better. They're going to be in a completely different place. like down the road. So not so great of a reading in terms of the challenging message coming through. But definitely that clear slice of hope right at the end, exactly what we needed. Tarot doesn't pull punches, right? It gives you what you need. And as a reader, that makes things a little bit tricky, because when you have a client in front of you and you're trying to give them a reading, especially if you're taking money for this reading, which you really ought to be if you're a professional, um, it's hard to be like, okay, I need you to give me something, and I just told you things that you did not want to hear. It was true, but you didn't want to hear them. That's really tricky. So it's really nice when tarot, in its wisdom and the bringing through of truth, offers hope. That's the best. I love that. So anyway, I hope this kind of walkthrough was helpful for you. If you got something from it, that's awesome. That's my whole goal here, is to give things that others might find useful. So if you have any thoughts on that, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll do my best to get back to it and respond. I really will, but I can't guarantee anything because I'm not perfect. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and that you keep working and building and learning and becoming a stronger reader. Thanks so much. Take care.